doing here? Oh. Yeah, I see that. You do need. I can get a salve on that. Well, I got some linen going here. Well, get your shirt off. People these days, keep it quiet. I've got people sleeping. Yeah, I didn't talk a lot. Just people, you know. I'm here for one thing only, and that's work. I'm Kuna, I am. My father was French, my mother was Kuna. So, that's why. But there are a lot of us that have a kind of hodgepodge speech. So you can hear the French a little bit in my speech, but not much. And I mean, your accent is kind of hodgepodge yourself. Where are you from anyway? I see. She's taken a liking to you, she has. Well, and now she's climbing up the rope. Okay, let me get this linen boiling. Okay. It's none of your business. It's just what it is. No, I don't talk a lot to the crew. No. Alrighty. So I think that's the first thing you'll need. Obviously. I mean, a salve on your face. And that wound is going to need to be cauterized. So just hold tight. Just get my tool over here. Alright. Yeah. And here. Put down on this. Yep. Alright, and it wasn't that bad, baby. It'll be fine. Here, give me that back. That'll be mine. Alright. I'm gonna put a poultice on the linen, and then it looks like you've got a boil that he's dancing to. Alrighty. Well, what you need is a plaster. Alright. Hold on, I've got something on here. Okay. Just a bit of shrapnel in there. It's not a big deal. Alright, let's lance this. Actually looks like some blood in that boil. Could be drawn out. This. Yep. There we go. Yep. Well, you can't have bad blood in you. The ancient Greeks used to call it the ears, and we still about practice today. That's still bleeding. You know what? I'm just gonna stuff some moss in it. Yep. Well, unless you want me to cauterize it like the other one. Yep, just over here. Actually, Dr. Eskemeling, he was a Dutch-French doctor. Well, in his writings in the Bay of Bleveld, he saw monkeys that had gotten shot, stuffing moss in their injuries to stop the blood. And there's similar practices. I don't know if I believe that he saw monkeys do that, but among a lot of peoples, like the Kuna, who use herbs, poultices, and things like moss to stop bleeding. And a lot of the, you find that a lot of the pirate surgeons or surgeons on board ships, such as this one, tend to use practices from all over the world. So, suck it up and take your moss. And then we'll put the poultice on. So, this is not for you, unless you've got pain in your mouth. And it's not done yet. It's the rose honey. Yep. Well, I can do it all. I amputate arms and legs, I cauterize wounds, I lance boils, take out blood, like I just did. Plasters, blisters, clysters, fluxes, purges, vomit, salves, medicines from Europe, but like I said, also tropical medicinal plants and herbs remedies from Amerindians and African slaves also. And why I mentioned the Greeks? Well, the Hippocratic dictum, don't you know? Bad air causes disease, and you've got humors that need to move all around, and some of them need to get out of your body. You gotta get the bad ones out. You ever seen one of these before? This bone. It's from the Far East. They've got a similar, well, it's not the same, but they call this guangsha or something. I don't know. I don't speak Chinese, but something that they use to move the humors through the body also. I guess they don't call them that, but it's like, like I would run this really hard down your back. That's how I would do that. But you don't need this. But it's the kind of theory. It's similar. It's different, but similar. I don't have to explain myself to you. You're not the doctor. Well, since 1629, almost 100 years, you had to be licensed to practice on the king's ships. And I don't know of a single pirate captain that would want anything less. Accompanied with barber surgeons. Why, what's your pay? We usually rate it at 200 to 250 pieces of 8. A little above the victualling allowance, but I'm not gonna tell you what I'm making. I'm necessary, that's all. So, yes, we do get the very equal dividend from the spoils and so forth. And most of the time we get an extra portion also. So, but I mean, you're talking fugitive slaves, native healers, like people who might be Kuna or part Kuna. People. Well, the pirate Captain Morgan, Dr. Sloan called in a black doctor to help him out in Jamaica. Very common. So he had the same treatment for dropsy as like Dampier. Got from his ship's surgeon. We share information among all of us. It's a little different than out there on land. So sometimes this is a better survival opportunity for some of us, like someone who's mixed like me. I've got a lot in common with my father, so there isn't a lot for me back, with the Kuna. But there's also not so much for me on land in one of the colonies, so I signed up. No, out of necessity. I don't pretend to think this is a good thing, what you all are doing, but I'm a little bit above it. I'm just healing. That's what I'm doing. No, there's some challenges, like this bloke couldn't make it to Ethiopia trying to find medical cures because of all the pirates in the way. So, unfortunately, in some ways we all share information, but then as physicians we all try to share information, but then there's always something in the way, and the more conflict there is, well, the more people there are in the way, and the more fighting there is. Wait, let's see. Now I try to keep the R's out so that I don't sound too French, since it's not really, since we have so many Englishmen. So I've traveled with the Scots too, and other seafaring folks from those kingdoms. So since a very young age, like I said, all kinds of mess in language. We all talk unusually. But yeah, no, piracy isn't good for the spread of medicine. It gets in the way of everything. Can't get information gears back and forth. Well, I mean, in 1680, Bartholomew Sharp destroyed the hospital, the Nuestra Señora de la Asunción. Yeah. Oh yeah, hablo español también. Most of us are polyglots anyway, so. Sí, el pirata Bartholomew Sharp, el hospital de Nuestra Señora de la Asunción, que había sido fundado en 1559. Yeah, so that was destroyed in 1680, at least that's what I've heard, by pirates. Because we don't just stay in the water. There's the making land headway and attacking settlements. That's why am I with pirates when I have such a low opinion? I mean, you're a living example of why I'd have a low opinion. Yeah, don't talk back. Absolutely not. Nope. Why are surgeons uppity? That's a stupid question. You ever heard of Captain Lowe? One of the most brutal pirates of our era. Well, I heard tale from a gentleman kidnapped by him. Philip Ashton was his name. He wrote down everything that happened. It was just released this year. It's hot off the presses. And he wrote about his experience on Lowe's ship. Right? And this man, he was a terrible person. He, the beatings and all the kind of things that stress you too much to hear about, since you're such a little baby about even having your blood taken. So, but even the brutal Captain Lowe was afraid of his surgeon. He was getting his mouth sewn up, and he complained. He didn't like how the surgeon was doing it, so the surgeon smashed him in the mouth and left, walked away. Captain Lowe didn't have anything to say about it. Most pirate captains know not to mess with their ship's doctors. Yeah, and if you think someone could speak, if anyone could talk back to Captain Lowe, and it was the surgeon. Heard that was a nasty guy. Oh, you're quite right. A lot of ships will kidnap surgeons to have on board, but even the kidnapped surgeons will get paid. Yep. Well, kidnapping is another thing that makes pirates so vile. You've got the privateers in service to the crown. I understand that, right? You've got a little more of this stupid stuff on your face here. What'd you do? Just put your face in a cannon. So yeah, you've got that. That's a thing. But piracy is becoming more and more for profit and not for the crown so much. I would say the good old days of piracy, 1680s or something, I think, as we're moving here, 17s and onward. I just used to hear all these stories about these gentlemen, buccaneers. Now it seems everyone's a savage. Well, my people quite liked Dr. Wafer. I'll tell you about that sometime, if you don't annoy me too much. But no, I was saying, the kidnapping's a real mess. It's a real mess. Also, live in Malta right now. They've got a bill of health that are being released by courts and so forth, because pirates carry diseases and sailors carry diseases and international travel carries diseases. So to get on and off islands, like Malta, you have to have a bill of health in some parts of Europe. Well, so I heard of a young man. He was captured by Muslim pirates, and they forced him to convert and even got him married to a wife and a family. It's not the worst thing in the world being kidnapped, but it's not pleasant. So he ran away, made it back to Spain with his son. Spain, was it? No, it was Malta, I think. Yeah, I think it was Malta. Anyway, he made his way back. Get this. His son sold him out to the Inquisition and said that he'd converted to Islam. And the father said no, he had not. He had only done that because he was kidnapped, and that he was a good Catholic, and he'd come back to convert back to Catholicism, you know? And the son said no, he wasn't a genuine return to Catholicism, that he was still Muslim. It was a whole mess. But the son was proven to be a liar, and he was allowed to travel. The man was off of Malta, but he had to have a bill of health, that's what I'm saying. Anyway, kidnapping's a mess. So, these are kind of things. They happen. They happen. Yep. Yes, anyone can be kidnapped, not just a surgeon. But in conflict, the surgeon will usually end up on the victor's ship. So you may not like the people you're working for, but at least you're alive, and you get paid. Really, this... They had to bring their instruments with them. Always. I keep mine safe under the gun deck. And we almost always have an assistant or servant. I'm a little bit grumpy. I don't have one. Oh, it's good to have a second pair of hands for surgery. Well, even Sir Henry Morgan was kidnapped. He made his way to Jamaica after working on the ship where he was kidnapped from, where he was kidnapped onto. He was sold as an indentured servant. Of course, eventually he became a pirate. Sloane, the doctor who treated him at Jamaica, is rumored to have gathered 800 plants and their uses from interviews with native peoples, black people, books around Jamaica. It's a wealth of medical knowledge down there in Jamaica. So, I've had the privilege of getting, well, I've managed to get myself some books I have. Oh yeah. Well, the stereotype of all the peg legs comes from that area. Because there's so much, it's a health crisis in Jamaica almost. It's such a stop-off for so many pirates with so many medical problems. All the tropical health problems and gangrene. So a lot of amputations on top of the trauma or the being stupid, as in your case. When something stupid happens and someone gets hurt from being careless. There we go. Did you drink the powder keg? Like what? Okay. A lot of work here. And then, malnutrition, scurvy. So, Sloane did a good job cataloging some of that good information. It came out a little there. Rum is also an issue. I heard that Captain Morgan would lie to his men that all the rum was poisoned to keep them from getting ill during one ransacking, because they would drink too much, get sick as dogs. He told them that all the rum in this area was poisoned. This clever dog, Captain Morgan. Yep. Can you read? If you could, it would be ideal. You should read the book that just came out, the Bulletin of Philip Ashton's Adventures, and the Torment with the Captain Lowe. That's not your business. So Kuna people, we were famous canoe makers. I say were, because I don't live there anymore, but presumably still are. I don't speak very well anymore, but some words. Inatuledi, medicine man. Uzunuku, Uchu. In wood carvings, expels spirits. No, I can read. I've even read the scriptures. Yeah. Christian ones. Or Jewish, really. Did you know that? People hate Jews, but actually their entire book comes from Jewish people. Half of it anyway, and the other half, that guy, he was Jewish himself. Silly, ain't it? I'll tell you the truth, that's why I'm not much for bloodletting. I'm a little superstitious. And I don't mind saying that. Everyone's all in favor of bloodletting, but I say it's necessary sometimes. but it's possible to go too far, and then the good blood starts to come out with the bad, and then, you know, sometimes people don't get better. And there's a passage in those old Jewish books, well, I guess old Christian books, the passage that says the life of the body is in the blood. And so if you think about that, you wouldn't want a lot of your blood to be taken out, would you? That would be a problem. So I'm very careful about that. Of course, I practice modern medical science and I believe in bloodletting, but it's not something I use often. And I'm not sure that the Western way is necessarily. What do I mean by Western? Well, like the West Indies and yeah. So here's my story about bloodletting. So, Lionel Wafer, famous pirate doctor. So you may not know it, but his brother's employer, Governor Thomas Modiford, he encouraged the Buccaneers in the 1680s. He was from Scotland, Ireland. That's why my English is a little. He talked with an accent from there, and so he signed up for adventure to Jamaica and to stop the Spaniards, harass the Spaniards and get some good Spanish gold. Just gonna have to use my hands for some of this. Well, everyone knows the Spaniards are bastards. Well, certainly my people don't like them very much. That's why my people haven't had so much problems with English. I was teasing earlier when I said that maybe you couldn't have been. I was trying to insult you, okay? Maybe they couldn't have been changing the marriage policies after meeting the English. That was a joke. So, the Kuna actually, so this was in my father's time, my mother's time, and my mother's tribe actually. So my mother's tribe had sent some guides to help some of these English pirates against the Spaniards. Take some of their gold. And so they had sailed to one area and had around that area. I'll show you a map. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, here you can look, you can see it's here on the wall. So the British and the French haven't always been friends, but lately, against the Spaniards, that's been, and of course my people, happy to help against the Spaniards. Israel, of course, why not? Why not, and get some treasure. So this voyage, it had Lionel Wafer, who was Scottish-Irish, and we had the French, and of course the French is where my father comes from, and then there were some Anglos, other Anglos as well. And I think, let's see, Lionel Wafer would have been young. He would have been about 19 when he first set out. and a little bit older when he met with the guides from my tribe. And what happened? I think he was split off from the group I know the 5th of April was when the Buccaneers and the Kuna guides landed on the mainland across Golden Island. And everybody took with them 2 pounds of flour, 4 journey cakes boiled in seawater, a musket, a pistol, and a hanger for each person. Crossing rivers, attacked the Santa Maria, headed into the South Sea, and then to get to the ships, they used my people's canoes. Like I said, the Kuna, we're famous canoe makers. Wait. Knew some? Wait. It's like that. So, they used the canoes to get onto the Spanish ships. It's very different than our piracy today, where we have our own big galley, big ship attacking another ship. It's a little bit different. They had to travel as a band, and they had their ship that they'd come from, but then to get to the other places, they had to travel a long way across the isthmus to get to where the Spanish ships were moored. So they attacked on canoes, and then brought the treasure back in the canoes, gave some to the guides, and then moved on back their way. That was supposed to happen anyway. But then, I think Wafer fell ill. Someone was playing with some gunpowder, that's what it was, and they blew his leg down to the bone. And the public rule was, that anyone who was disabled would be killed, so they couldn't be captured and betrays the group. Now this was 5 May 1981, after some trekking and sailing around and trekking back to the other ship. But anyway, according to Dampier, who was also there, Wafer believed this was just a rule to keep people away from the company who weren't serious. No one really thought that the captain was going to enforce making you be killed if you got injured anyway. So, that wasn't what Captain Sharp would really do. That's what I heard anyway. That's the story that I heard from my father. So, well, I suppose all pirates have a soft spot. Even the evil Captain Lowe never hurts a woman. I think he has a soft spot after his mother died. But he's a monster. Wafer and Captain Sharp, they wouldn't have been like that at all. They were more, things they did made sense. Anyway, they were good to my people. So Wafer had to stay back from the main party. And then his attendant, his helper, ran away. I couldn't blame him. His helper was a slave. So of course he ran away. Good on him. Really good on him, because he took all the medical equipment with him. So, Lionel Wafer found himself staying with the Kuna people. They fixed him up. We applied some herbs. I was a little baby, so I barely remember a face of the man. Well, it was my father who helped obtain the guides. Different people, different conversations. But that's a different story for another time. So Wafer ended up with my tribe. And herbs chewed into a paste were applied to his knee, applied under plantain leaf for 20 days. Speaking of your poultice should be ready now. Get this wet thing wrapped around you here. Just around this big wound here. And then I've got another one here for your ugly face. There we go. Just right up here. Stop squirming. Of course it's hot. Just came out of boiling water. What do you expect? Didn't I tell you the story about Captain Lowe's surgeon? Better behave or I'll break it all over again. And we're just gonna wrap this around here and just kind of tie it off. Just gonna tie it off here and over here in the back. Yep. Oui. C'est très bien. Très bien. Right. Over on this side. And then we're almost done with this mess on your face too. It's bleeding a little bit, so yeah. Well, just because I don't want you dripping blood on my shirt. That's all. Least you could do is bleed politely. Eh? You don't think so? Anyway, so the tribe got impatient because, you know, they were suspicious a little bit of outsiders, and, well, the guides hadn't come back yet. So there was talk, actually, about putting Wafer and the other buccaneers to death. They actually started setting a fire to burn one of the buccaneers at the stake. I don't know why. Every civilization seems to have an obsession with burning people. Not Middle Easterners, but I mean, we've all read Fox's Book of Martyrs. Fox's Book of Martyrs. It's a 1563 book. It's been around for a long time. Written by, John Fox, published by John Day. It's about all the bloody Catholics. What happened to the Protestants and whatever, what opposed them and so forth. But you've got Protestants done their fair share of threatening to burn people too, but that's a good historical work there. If you've studied history, it's something I think they teach in schools. Some, maybe in England, who knows? I don't know. What? Told you I can read, I can. Of course I can. It's hard to be a doctor if you can't read, because how you're going to get all the good books that everyone's got. So, anyway, the Kuna like to burn people at the stake too. Yeah, of course I'm a little bitter about people in general. Don't belong to any one world. You know, always something that was a little different about me for the other Kuna, and always something that's a little different about me for any kind of, if I were to go to France, if I were to be a Frenchman, yeah, you know. So, and then my accent now is a bit all crazy after, but I travelled with a lot of Scots, Irish folks, like Wafer. But of course you can tell and see, I don't have that accent either, and my English isn't. Anyone would pinpoint me from a mile away. I talk kind of funny. So if I went to try to settle down in a British colony, people think I talk kind of funny. I suppose there's always Jamaica. Maybe I'll go back to the Kuna someday, who knows. Anyway, this wouldn't be a happy story if the buccaneer got burnt. He did not. Sorry, I keep looking over there. I'm wondering when Cookie's gonna call for food. Well, I'm hungry. I'm hungry, I am. That's all. Placenta, the chief, came back. So, and he sent some Kuna and Wafer to go and find the guides and the rest of the party. They were so lost, they came in a circle back toward the same village they trekked all around. Maybe Kuna did that on purpose to bring them back in a circle. I don't know. But from the point of view of Wafer, it seemed like they'd been lost. Anyway, they came back. And when they came back, it was a different story. Don't get any ideas. I'm just checking this wound application here. This poultice. Well, nobody likes you. Yeah, you're all right. You're not the worst person on the show. I think I'd be talking so much if you were wasting my time. I don't tell my stories to just everybody. Anyway, so when they got back, the Kuna were actually real happy to see them because the guides had come back. So, my mother says the guides were paid really well, and there was lots of Spanish treasure to go around, so everyone was pretty happy about that, for obvious reasons. So, I have a picture. This is from one of Wafer's drawings, actually, that I got my hands on. Yeah, what does that look like to you? So that's bloodletting. The Kuna also did bloodletting by shooting, well, I say did because the practice of my tribe has since changed. They did it by shooting, like at very close range, just like little nick shooting arrows in a row down the arm so that there were small bits of blood let out. So the chief's wife was ill and she was getting bloodlet. This is why I was telling you this story. And Wafer saw it and was like, no, we could do much better. And so he did a big old cut, just like the, you know, how we do bloodletting. So blood came gushing out, and the chief got pretty mad because he was not accustomed to seeing that much blood for a medical procedure. Like I said, the Kuna always did very little bit. But then, you know, Wafer promised she'd feel better, and she did. She felt much better. Maybe she felt lightheaded from losing all that blood. I don't know. This is where I say, and maybe I get this from my mother, but I think the old way is a little better. I think it's safer, just so you don't lose the good humors with the bad humors. So, and then from all the reading I've been doing, like I said, the ancient peoples believed that the life of the blood, the life of the body was in the blood. So maybe I'm superstitious, but I am not very aggressive with bloodletting when I do. You can complain about it if you like. I'll always, if you ask to have a lot removed, I'll gladly oblige, but I don't know. Modern medical science is not always better than I think, or at least English medical science, not necessarily better in my mind. But my tribe really liked Wafer, and so a lot of the medicine studies from my tribe have been learned from Wafer. So that's actually how I got my start. My mother paid a lot of attention and learned. So by the time I was 17 and left to go join a ship, I'd already gotten the same kind of training, similar to like what Wafer got. Well, because of what he left behind and then what I could get from books. And later on, when I went traveling and I spent some time in Jamaica, and of course, Kuna herbs. So, like most ship's doctors, have got information from a variety of sources. And that's kind of how we do things. So, there were other things similar to them. So he said that the Celtic tribes, so Kuna we count by hundreds in the hair. So we count to 100, and then after 100, if we're talking about this is a big number, then we shake hairs to show that it's a big number. Apparently the ancient Celts did something similar. I didn't know that, but Mother told me that. How it was, I do miss it. Families where, well, the little kids can swim around and be in the water all the time. It's really lovely. Lots of fishing. Lots of fishing. Yeah, some things are different. So young girls in my tribe go into like a confinement, a puberty. What do I mean by that? Oh, it's not anything barbaric like that. It's just for first menses. The girls, they go into a couple little bit of time. Yeah, not very long. No, not a year. Talking weeks to month. Go into a little confinement. That's like a coming of age at puberty, and then after that come out. Do all kinds of things. And children are highly valued. I had a fun childhood. Running around, exploring, especially playing in the streams and waters. Anyway, so we liked Wafer, and Wafer liked us. In fact, he liked us so much he adopted our style of dress. And when his tribe, when his men came back, he hid among the rest of us. My father told me, and he pretended to be one. He was very quiet for a little bit, and then it was a little while before the other people realized, and then they suddenly realized. I don't know how long it was. For a period of time. Then they realized, hey, this is our ship's doctor. They didn't recognize him. So he had other adventures afterwards. I did manage to pick up, like I said, his books later on. He kept a log of his adventures. So, like the rest of us, treated a lot of typhoid fever. Some of the crew got sick with bad coconut milk. All those kind of things. But there's a lot to learn. Well, so for example, the Cauterizing vesicatoria, Spanish fly, caused a lot of pain. Well, he found and taught. So this is something that I know. Beetle dried and prepared in a paste. Could be used as a counter irritant for the severe pain and irritation of the stage. And of course, parrots. They're poisonous. People had lost hair and nails or died after eating them, but the antidote is the dried backbone of the fish pulverized and taken in any liquor, the only side effects being numbness in the limbs for a time afterward. So, a lot of things to learn from him. And like everyone, we all believe in the humors, so sweet, clear air is considered beneficial. But some of the Kuna guides and him on the heights of the isthmus suffered a strange giddiness, or which he blamed on the clearness of the air, like a mountain sickness. So he discovered that. I say discovered, but I'm sure the Europeans up in the mountains have seen that. So, you know what's funny? So Wafer did eventually get caught and accused of piracy in Virginia, and all his treasure taken away from him. But he argued he had no knowledge of piracy, and he had no idea that's what the rest of the crew were doing. They didn't believe him. The Virginians believed the slave who'd run away and accused him and his buddies of piracy. So, good on the Virginians. But, so then he sailed back to England to seek amnesty. And in England, they believed him. Gave most of his shit back. But some of his stuff wasn't given back, and it was used to found a college. Have you heard of the College of William and Mary? Lionel Wafer is the founding father, unwillingly. When the sooty stones and grey river of London. That's where he ended up retiring. I think he's still there. I wonder what his memories are of the sunny beaches and sparkling waves of the Spanish Main. Anyway, my point. So, well, I don't mean to be speaking heresy about bloodletting. Obviously, like I said, people do it. You heard of Thomas Dover? I think he was serving a clinical apprenticeship to Dr. Thomas Sydenham, where he got smallpox, and he would let 22 ounces of blood and put to bed with sheets no higher than his waist in an unheated room, and given a light diet of 12 bottles of beer acidulated with spirits of vitriol every 24 hours. No better. But to me that seems a lot. I'm not sure. Anyway, so there's talk about the British Navy anyway, reforming healthcare. So as the pirate sea is getting worse, it's no longer something you do for the crown, it's against your own people too, not just against the Spanish. So there's talk, there's just a lot of disease, diseases. Folks are trying to change that around the world. So I've heard discussion of some of the weirdest treatments I've ever heard of. I'll tell you. Well, I've heard, where was it? It was somewhere, I think on in Joba, where they're talking about some people got sick. I can't remember with what. Some kind of fever. Since they did get better, people were burying them up to their necks, and then some people got better because of that, but then some people died. A weird treatment, I think, to burrow someone in dirt. Maybe cooled off the fever. I heard, cholera in Calcutta. There's there's talk about trying to deal with British seafarers in that area. We'll see. Alrighty then. Just about. Well, you lie there, go to sleep. I'm gonna do some reading. Yeah, you lie there. I won't send you back out to work just yet. I'll watch you. Anyway, so you've been cauterized, your boil's been lanced, you've got poultice done all over you, and you do have a sore throat. Well, I'll let you have some of this later when you wake up. Alright. It's a pleasure. I don't talk to a lot of people, so. Get some rest now. Let's see here. Hunters cover themselves with ox grease to avoid their stings. To avoid the stings of flies. Excellent. And they burn tobacco leaves to smoke them out. Lignum sanctum. Also found Salmonella oil, pleasant, used to treat rheumatism and inflamed tonsils. As Commia lemmy-tree, the gum used in our apothecary shops, the veterinary goods to remove headaches, GA, the times, ginger, the colic root mixed with birches to prevent griping, used to flavor medicine, and relieve flatulence. Let's see esquimellum here, called the West Indian variety, white and soft, inferior to the plant from other parts of the West. Aromatic root of the Asian lesser common called mild ginger. Aloes and leaf mallows, one of the infinite number of other medical herbs found in the region. Dried juice aloe vera is a simple bird, generally combined with other substances to avoid griping. Used to treat dropsy and in apoplexy to prevent straining and storm. Cassia lignea, Quassia nigrina, Quassia amara, spark, put in root, used in various preparations of internals and tonic, in infusions to expel red worms and externally as an insecticide. This is from Finelli. Let's see. Something here from Dampier. See, Dampier found great benefit from washing free and evening in a hot climate, especially in sunny flux. Other useful tips: the trunk, loggerhead, and oxbill turtles, which feed on moss from rocks. Vomiting and diarrhea if eaten. Old betel nuts cause giddiness, and too much baking requires heat, particularly in the fundament. Let's praise the healers of Mindanao. The medicine worms, sago, dried like little seeds or comfits exported for the treatment of flux and taken in root. Milk. Smaller plantains unique to the island, again good for flux. Betel nuts wholesome for the stomach, excellent for the gums. Seeing this, you found a certain vine about 12 feet high. Green leaves, broad, round, and thick, growing from about 5 feet from the top. He had heard about this plant from a traveler who had been given the receipt for old ulcers in Isthmus. And all Dampier's company pounded the leaves and boiled them in ox lard, creating an excellent salve. On the coast of Canton, Dampier discovered Chinese drugs, among them China root, which he'd seen in Jamaica and the Bay of Honduras. And he quoted a receipt from the almanac made in Mexico for treating fever and ague turning to dropsy, the stone or cod of an alligator pulverized and drunk in water. But he'd never tried it as a Some don't like that treatment. Cold is dangerous. 2 pounds of syrup as infusion is carried on at all, or the syrup will kill flowers. Strengthens the heart, liver, and syrup. 4 pounds of aqua cinnamon poultice or cinnamon water, distilled from an infusion of cinnamon and Spanish wine. Strengthens the stomach, helps digestion, causes a sweet breath, resists poison, provokes urine and terms, causes speedy delivery to women in travail, helps coughs and defluxions of humors, palms, lungs, dropsies, and difficulty of urine. Highly ointment takes away red pimples. 4 pounds and 4 ounces of aqua alkalis or treacle water. Liquor distilled from the juice of green walnuts, rue, garters, marigolds, parrots of green petasil, pestilence wort, and burrs, angelica, masterwort, leaves of scordium, old Venice, and mithridate, treacle, canary wine vinegar, and lemon juice. Recommended against the plague, poisons, and the French pox. Aqua celestis. I really don't have much of any of these anymore. Stone water distilled from cinnamon, ginger, white, red, and yellow sanders. Cloves, galangal, nutmeg, mace, cubebs, cardamom, sedwary, seeds of nigella, anise, sweet fennel, parsnips, basil, angelica, serratum, aromatic, licorice, moringa, leaves of clay, thyme, marjoram, flowers of roses, sage, rosemary, betony, steamgrass, milkgrass, orange, and citron pills, all of which was infused within 12 days in a spirit of wine. I don't have the other editions. So, if I could get, let me write, if I could get powders of diamber, diamocindose, aromaticum, rosetum, diamaricatum, frigidum, diabatis, powder of electuary, decumis, yellow sanders, musk, amber, grease, and clear julep roses. I could add that to that concoction and comforts and cherishes the heart of rice, quadrupling spirits, fails against the plague and all fevers. Of course, no more than a dram for dosages. Not safely given by itself in fevers, but only mixed with other convenient cordials. Aqua mirabilis, a water made from cloves, galangal, cubebs, mace, cardamoms, and nutmegs, infused with juice of quinine. The spirit of wine and white wine heats cold stomachs, preserves from apoplexies, and restores lost speech. Spiritus, cocaine, tincture of saffron, mixture of saffron and treacle water. A spoonful taken every morning strengthens the heart and keeps off melancholy vapors. Let's see the Archia. Londonensis or London treacle, a pretty cordial made from herbs, almond, seeds of citron, sorrel, rhubarb, basil, scordium, coriander, roots of angelica, tormentine, peony, leaves of dittany, bayberries, juniperberries, flowers of rosemary, marigolds, clove, guinea flowers, tops of St. John's wort, nutmeg, saffron, roots of gentian, sedwary, ginger, mace, myrrh, leaves of scabious, devil's spit, carders, cloves, opium, lavender wine, and honey, all prescribed against poison and pestilence. To strengthen cold stomachs and aid digestion. 3 pounds and 4 ounces of mithridate. Named after the king of Pontius, who supposedly united himself against poisons. The sauce is meant to be poison. wish I